On this map, Cloud's units get an extra 5% speed boost. Their attack rate is increased by 1.2%. And also, as you said, stat boosts. All attributes, intelligence, agility, and strength are increased by 1.4 for every level.
Wrong game, Andre. Although that would be pretty cool, like if players like had to make their own maps and get home court advantage. That'd be actually really cool. Now that I think about it, if there's like different maps that like benefit certain types of units or different kind of play styles. I know people can say terrain does that, but it's kind of like tennis at the same time. Like some people are good on clay courts, some people are good on grass courts.
I've been saying
I was good on every court for the record.
I've been saying something just on maps really quickly, Frodan. I've been saying this for a very long time, ever since StarCraft Brood War. Maps should not be made for every matchup. It just doesn't make sense. Like, you're trying to balance a map based on all 3 matchups, or all, let's say, 6 matchups even. Of course, the mirrors, and then TVZ, TVP, PVZ.
So you're saying map makers shouldn't make the maps
make
based off
it just for Terran versus Protoss. Make it just for Protoss versus Zerg. Like, what if we had a PVZ?
Also, like a stylistic map pool
exactly.
that caters to different kinds of. Oh.
Like, what if we had PVZ where, let's say, you know, like a Dark Templar was blocking an expansion, and that way neither of the races.
Like a neutral Dark Templar that just killed everything.
And so it wouldn't really be applicable.
Like I just placed them randomly everywhere. There's like an expo, and you keep sending a drone to expand. You're like, huh? Does he have something there? And you're like, well, okay, I keep dying. It's like, wait, how does he have DT tech? You get a bunch of spores, nothing ever comes.
But how cool would that be? I mean,
that'd be really cool. I'd have a neutral mothership that anyone can kind of neural parasite and use.
That would be so sick. But you know, something like that to really make it, I guess, unique, and I think that would actually propel the scene into a really, really nice set of games every single time.
Submit that idea to some masters.
I've been saying it on streams constantly.
Oh yeah, but like talk to them directly.
Yeah,
like,
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna call up Super OU, man. Yeah. Be like, hey, come back. We want you.
Make a map. Oh, what if the map was only like the chokes or the spaces between Dark Templars? Like you just, like your ramp was like a line of Dark Templars that form like a nice little red carpet. That'd be so dope.
That'd be great, man.
Like the entire map's open. Once you kill all the Dark Templars, you like move through the map. That'd be awesome.
But I mean, that's just like a silly idea. But I think there's a lot of really good ideas that this community can make. And that will actually sprout just these beautiful maps where, let's say, only PvT works out so well. Because how hard is it to actually prepare, or excuse me, make a map that's good for PvT for all the timings, and then at the same time be like, oh, you have to also think that 10-minute push with 3 Immortals and PvZ is there. That's going to be silly, silly strong.
I know
so
what you
well,
mean.
I can't do that build. I can't do this structure, and I think it limits a lot of the things on the maps.
It's kind of tough because even Cloud Kingdom, as you can see the opening build orders, Cloud going for Reactor Hellion, very stable or staple opening in Terran versus Zerg, and Galaxy just going for speed and trying to get his queen count up. Even on Cloud Kingdom, people were saying for a while that the matchup was really, really hard because you're trying to balance Cloud Kingdom a little bit too generally to try to remove general death balls, but then you kind of have all these weird scenarios where tanks were really strong in Cloud Kingdom. Everyone thought Cloud Kingdom was Terran favored, but then they realized that expansions are really spread out. Zerg can kind of counterattack, spread up, and it's really hard to attack Broodlords because you can't ever get up the ramps with bungles. Zerg controls this map, and then a lot of people are saying, well, late game, now Terrans are getting to the point where Zerg can't attack into them.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about Cloud Kingdom and this matchup balance specifically, Andre?
I've always said since the beginning, Cloud Kingdom is horrid for Terran. And yes, once they get to that endgame stage, all the units clump up, siege tanks, EMPs, I don't care what you have, I'm dominating everything as Terran. It's really, really fun because the ledges actually provide really nice defense against Broodlords, against Colossus. High Templars get bunched up with the EMPs. It's just so powerful. But the early game stage, I felt like the 2 major spells, which were Fungal and Force Field, played too big of a role on this map. And because of that, I thought a lot of different all-ins and a lot of different just macro play could be exercised by both of the particular races. And I do think Terran has a slight disadvantage in the beginning stages and the mid-game stages. But once you get into that end-game stage, that's when you're really saying, ha ha ha, you're so silly. Why are you trying to attack me? You know, and that's where you can really do a lot of damage.
I agree. So we'll see if Cloud's able to get to that point. You can see that he's also going for Hellion Banshee with Cloak, opening very standard. In fact, no add-on onto the barracks indicates he's going to go straight into mech play, whether it's MVP mech or standard like goody mech, I would say. Cloud is versed in both. He's played European mech for a long time, and he's been a big pioneer for that kind of play. But now with MVP's kind of build, it makes you more stable into the mid game, especially if Zerg choose to go for mutas. But Galaxy's one of those Zergs that you can't really pin. For example, it's 8 minutes. His third hasn't even begun yet. He's actually teching to layer, and he's getting all 4 gases.
This is going to be Spire tech. Really interesting. I've actually been doing this a lot in my ladder games lately.
2-base layer? Or 2-base Spire?
2-base Spire. And it actually hits at a time where Banshees are about to do damage. Is it Spire? It could be Infestation Pit, so I don't want to count that out. But normally we have 2 Evolution Chambers that go down. Yes, Spire is up. And it actually hits very inconveniently. Like, you won't have any Thors up. If any, you're having just about 1. This is the time where actually you're getting your production up, your factories, and really you're just trying to mass out in Hellions to really threaten your opponent. But when you only have 2 bases, and this is perfect, you put 2 evolutions down here, and you can actually stuff this area with a single queen. No amount of Hellions are really going to do damage. This is, I think, really, really good. But if it gets scouted, then it's a different story. They just prioritize the Thors instead of getting their upgrades out ASAP, and I think Terran should be able to deal with it.
Well, let's see the position Cloud can get. He gets into a nice corner so that the surrounding Zerglings is minimized. Queen's also dropping pretty rapidly, although the Hellions have been cleaned up. The Banshee barely manages to irk into the main base and start working onto the drone count. The big thing is, though, Cloud knows. No third base from my opponent, at least in this position. I don't think Cloud knows about the left-hand side, which is a clever spot. But that still should make Cloud a little bit more wary. He's getting up 5 turrets. Yeah. Look at that read from Cloud. Great decision-making.
Good job. Very good job. It will be difficult to actually take the third base. Now, what this does is actually limits the Banshees as well. So the Banshees can't do nearly as much damage. This is the normal time where Zergs will actually throw down that that Roach Warren, and then get +1 missile attack and +1 Carapace. Oh, okay. I just realized where I was wrong. He hasn't scouted his opponent. He doesn't know if it's mech or not.
I mean, if you see that, if you see continual Banshees, you know your opponent is probably going to go for that, because you need that gas to be funneled toward things like siege tanks, get your +1/+1, and be able to generate a bunch of like strong mid-game armies.
I think there are still a couple of bio plays that you can do.
Really? With Banshees?
Yeah, with Banshees. Oh. I still think there are like these 1/1 timings where you can, or not 1/1 timings, but there are times where you can get 2 engineering bays. I've seen it on ladder quite a bit of times. But it's not nearly as common as this build, Frodan. So you are absolutely right. The normal indicator is that it's going to be something like mech.
Although even if you do go mech, do you want to go mass Zergling against the inevitable masses of Hellions?
I would not.
I mean, he's going double Evo Chamber and trying to really drone up. And this third is really exposed. Like, it's super far out from other bases. Sure, Galaxy's doing a good job spreading creep, which is always something to kind of note on Cloud Kingdom, because you can spread creep from the low ground based off controlling the watchtower. But still, it's a little bit tougher position. Galaxy will always have to keep that in mind, especially with Hellion run-bys non-stop mid-game.
Yeah. You know, Cloud's third base, it's important to note that this has been delayed quite substantially. You want this third base out on the map, really. I would say a couple minutes earlier, and the main reason for that is because you need that siege tank and Thor count into your army to defend against potential roaches, you know, or roach 200 max. I've seen it so many different times where Terran's at like 110 supply, and Zerg's already maxed out. And we don't see that here, but it's definitely within his opponent, within Galaxy's range, and Cloud needs to be a little bit wary of that.
And it's gases 5 and 6 that are so important on the third base. Sure, you can always have triple orbital. Minerals are really not an issue. It's the fact that you're going for 5 factories usually. Yes, Cloud has 5 factories, and you get a bunch of upgrades. You're getting Thors, which is super expensive, and you need to keep up the Banshee production in case those roaches do end up coming. The massive Zergling run-by attempt. Cloud didn't actually lift up his supply depots, but he does manage to trap them out, so I guess no harm, no foul really. Lost time on the gas tracking. He was trying to make a 4th base, and Galaxy forced to cancel, which is a nice
That's right, and obviously delaying Terran as much as possible is going to be good. A lot of times when you're actually playing against mech, it's this constant, I'm going to whittle you down throughout the whole game, and if you get to 200, that's when you're really in control and you're able to do something. But for now, Galaxy is the one that has the tempo, he has the control, and he's going to be the one trying to exercise his advantage as much as possible. He's done it yet again, delaying that command center. Although there is a second command center coming up over here, it's still really nice.
Because Cloud is also switching directly into tanks before 2-2. There is an interesting attack you can do with Hellion, Thor, and Banshee. When you have enough Thors in position, you get a few tanks, but I mean, Cloud's going straight into tanks before 2-2, and he's also going mass command center. So Cloud, I don't know if, because normally you set up a 2-2 pre-hive timing, but it looks like Cloud might just sit back even when 2-2 finishes and try to draw us out as late as possible.
He has to. I mean, he knows his opponent has the advantage. With the mutas out in the field, they were able to do just way too much damage, delay the third base. He really doesn't have the infrastructure to go ahead and say, yes, I can push out. Mutas are still a constant threat, and really his Thor count isn't too big. 4 Thors can't really cover this much area, and that's what's so difficult about this.
Oh, the mutas are clumped so nice, but the Thors are moving the opposite way, and a couple of pickoffs here and there for the Galaxy is really nice. Also gets to the stage where mutas actually have already served their purpose. And as cool as it may sound, Galaxy does not necessarily need these mutas.
Oh, nice Baneling hits on the left-hand side, actually taking out one of the refineries, and on top of that, pulling all the SCVs away. Let's go ahead and look at the workforce kill tab. 15-9, so not too substantial, but still a lot of good stuff being done by Galaxy. And look at this, Galaxy is actually maxed out. And Cloud is actually at a pretty alarming supply count, 164. He should be able to deal with this if he's in the right position. But that's a big if, and it looks like he's not going to be.
No, I mean, the timing is right now, obviously, because you want to hit basically a mid after Hive has started, so you can capitalize perfectly on their investment. But Galaxy's been prepared for this. He's trying to catch the units out of position. One Thor trying to meet up with his buddies, gets sniped, and the planetary is not done. Galaxy trying to buy more time for his Hive tech to be able to come to fruition, and he'll get that grant as Cloud is not prepared for the counterattack at home, controlling the ramp very nicely as well. And Galaxy able to really control space. The Thors do push back the mutas, but this is all the time in the world that Galaxy needs.
Exactly right. The Banshees are actually going to be picked off over here by the muta. Oh my god. They just evaporate so fast. But it looks like, yes, the Banshee... No, the Banshees don't get them. Excuse me, the mutas don't get the Banshees. Oh. But in the meantime, I mean, you can see just a ridiculous amount of damage.
They almost killed the Banshee by attacking the Hellion. That would have been pretty cool.
Still Galaxy looking for his option. And he found it. Kills one single tank, and he will kill another Hellion before really getting spotted out here. Another tank is going to go down here. So unfortunate for Cloud. He just keeps running into wall after wall after wall. And this gives enough time for Galaxy to get that second round of units up, where Cloud really wants to be pushing there. He's not able to, just because of that small roach on Burrow. And because of that, Galaxy now has another maxed army.
Yeah, and Galaxy's now bought enough time to get Corruptors out and a Greater Spire halfway done. That timing is going to be very weak if Cloud chooses to push out. His answer to Broodlords is strictly in Thors, and you need some Viking and infrastructure to be able to handle that. In fact, Cloud's attention again being pulled at the third base. The planetary will drop, and Galaxy able to even sneak away. Wow, great mobility, and he's capitalizing on the positioning of Cloud. And man, this is really a tough position for our Yellow Terran player.
That's right. When it comes down to Cloud, I think he pushed out a little bit too early. He doesn't really have control over his own bases to be able to push out. I mean, he's so vulnerable, as we've seen, to these counterattacks. Again, going for the counterattack, and this is so advantageous for Galaxy because this basically says you're locked in. You don't have any more income. You don't have any way to actually get further reinforcements. And that's why Galaxy is going for a complete trade army. These are a lot of Banelings. Normally this doesn't make sense against mech.
To be fair, it still kind of doesn't make sense, Andre, because the Broodlords are not done. Only 2 on the way. In fact, most of Galaxy's army is going straight for a flank. As you can see them controlling the center watchtower. This will be an awesome engagement for Galaxy if he can get it right, but will Cloud be able to handle it? He does have a nice spread on his units. Galaxy getting a little bit disorganized, trying to rearrange his roaches, sending some for a counterattack, while the third, the conventional third, has been sniped. Galaxy only on 3 bases, just like his opponent, and Cloud also immediately lifting off in response. I guess this is kind of an awful position for Galaxy because he doesn't have the ability to break it just yet.
Yes, it is, but also Cloud doesn't have the ability to back up from here. He's stranded, right? How can he actually back up? I mean, there's units all around. He's going to get sandwiched, and now the 2 Broodlords are going to come in here, and this is very problematic because look at how much splash damage is going to be done here, Frodan. This is so difficult. There's the big unsiege, and now we have all the units coming from both sides.
The Roaches coming in from behind, and the Siege Tanks finally getting positioned. The Bangs are rolling straight into the Thors. Doesn't even really matter. Cloud doesn't even have 3-3 even done just yet. Galaxy now able to get a flank. Now that the Siege Tanks are done, Thors are left to fend for themselves. And they do have good DPS, but only 5 Thors remain when 11 began at this battle. And Cloud also lost all of his tanks. The good news, the silver lining, is that Cloud did stabilize at the 3rd base, but Galaxy is back at there trying to harass him.
Definitely not bad for Cloud. That was one of his better trades, I would say.
Worse.
Yes, if he lost everything, it would be game, absolutely. But the fact of the matter is he was able to be a little bit cost efficient there. And because of that, retaining these Thors is actually so gigantic. I love this incorporation of SCVs into all of your attacks. I think that's one of the best things you could possibly do. But look at this creep extension. It's just so far in that he can't even take his 4th base, Frodan.
This is a really great job. Galaxy, very thorough, diligent creep spread. He's taking the top left expansion, man. And Galaxy really trying to control that side of the map and use positioning. And he's just been avoiding his entire army reinforcing-wise. He's going to go for a Thor flank, just like you said, Andre, trying to trade out his army supply to be very efficient. But Cloud actually has tanks right in a nice spot, and does push back the army. Cloud really needs to start thinking about a 4th base, though, because he is running dry, both at his main and his natural. He's going to be on one base economy soon.
Yeah, not looking good for Cloud. He does have a Hellion run-by over in the bottom right-hand corner that he hasn't yet used. I think he's waiting for it to be saturated a little bit more until he can really go in there. I think he saw it, yeah, it wasn't yet done. So he just wants all those drones to stay over there. So that's all good and well. But Cloud is pushing out.
Another Roach attack, though.
Yeah, this is awesome. I mean, the counterattacks that we've seen here by Galaxy have been just stupendous. And this is really why you need wall-offs all over the place on this map.
Yeah, and just to kind of section off the Roaches, prevent them from doing anything. In fact, Cloud's not turning around. He's still pushing forward. He's had enough, but there are 7 Broodlords waiting with a couple more Corruptors, also ready to morph in or support should there be any Vikings. Cloud's supply is looking very weak at this moment, especially since he doesn't have anything to defend the 3rd. GG! And Galaxy takes the series 2-0. With kind of an unconventional Roach play in terms of mech, avoiding the army nonstop and trading and buying time for Broodlords rather than the straight-up confrontation. Great job the way to deal with the mech.
Yeah, I think that was the best way to actually do it. Something that we haven't seen since the beta days or even early Wings of Liberty, which was the 2-base fast mutas pre-10 minutes. Around 9 minutes and 30 seconds, that's really, really fast. That means you get metabolic boost, and then your next 100 gas is going to be committed towards lair. I would love to see actually before metabolic boost you actually get the lair. I've done that a couple of times. But really cool to see old builds work. And
yeah, and that's kind of what I was saying because it was a very popular thing to do. If you think about Sheth versus Polt last season on Belshire Beach, we saw a lot of that Roach play. But a lot of people have been favoring Infestor so much in ZVT that they kind of forget the Roach ability to kind of pull mech out of position. Yeah. And that was a great job by Galaxy, and that's what I meant by unconventional.
Definitely. But that being said, that's going to do it for that matchup. And that's the 3rd Zerg win we had today. Of course, 2 ZVZs in the beginning, and of course, a ZVT.
Zergs are dominating today. Well, the last match of the day will be between Select and Naniwa. Guys, no Zerg will win that matchup unless I have no idea how that would pan out. That game and series was brought to you by Stamps.com. For hassle-free postage from your PC, go to nasl.tv/p/stamps, where you can get a special limited time discount. When we return, also another special guest, our last one from Root, will be joining us, as well as more festivities for Week 3 Division 2, so hang in your seats. We'll be back in just a minute.